Hey, what's up guys? Today, I'll show you a French drama thriller film, The Mad Women's Ball. Spoiler ahead, watch out and take care. The movie begins with Eugene coming late to a family dinner. She apologizes to her father and explains why she left home earlier that day. Eugene comes from a family of French aristocrats. Afraid that her father might reprimand her, Eugene lies about the fact that she attended the funeral of a famous French novelist in Paris. After dinner, while holding a candle in front of a mirror one night, Eugene appears to see and hear something. She seems to experience some sort of seizure when this happens. At the end of the episode, her grandmother sees her, but does not make a big deal out of it. Later, she attends to her grandmother by combing her hair and soon bids her good night. The next day, she asks to go to a salon debate with his brother, Théophile. Salon debates are gatherings organized by prominent men in French society. This is where individuals discuss literature, science, and even politics. Théophile is unhappy with the idea, as she becomes the center of attention there. Eugene explains that she is not really interested in going to the debate. She wants to be dropped off at a cafe on his way to the debate. Théophile then agrees, and the siblings begin their journey on a coach. At a cafe, Eugene meets a young man who thinks Eugene is interested in him. The young man joins Eugene at her table despite not being invited. Eugene explains that she isn't interested in the young man, but in the book he is reading, the Book of Spirits. As a friendly gesture, the young man writes something on the book cover and lends Eugene the book. Later that night, Théophile teases Eugene as he reads the note on the book cover. It's very unlikely for Eugene to be interested in a man, and he's curious if the two will meet again. The following day, Eugene is witnessed by his brother as she's having another episode. Being close to him, Eugene willingly reveals to her brother that she sees spirits and that a young lady's spirit has been revealing herself to her for the last few days. That spirit needs her help, but she doesn't know how. At first, Eugene felt like a freak, but after reading the book the young man lent her, she felt normal. After all, the book explains the normality of the paranormal existing on a different plane. Eugene then tries to convince Théophile that spirits are real, but Théophile isn't sure to believe his very own sister, knowing full well that there's no evidence of the spiritual world. Instead, Théophile is concerned, as girls like her are not treated fairly due to their condition. He knows it's a matter of time before the family takes matters into their own hands and does something about her. One night, Eugene suffers another episode while taking care of her grandmother. She begins to empty a drawer from a cabinet as if she's looking for something so valuable. She then digs out a lost pendant from a side table. Her grandmother is taken aback, but is incredibly delighted when she sees the pendant. Eugene's grandmother explains that she lost the pendant 40 years ago. She also thought that the piece of jewelry was stolen back then. The pendant was a gift from her husband. Eugene then tells her grandma that her dead grandfather told her where the pendant was located. In shock, Grandma hugs Eugene. Subsequently, Eugene's family is now aware of what she's been experiencing, but she doesn't know what lies ahead. On the coach, Eugene has no idea where they are heading. She is under the impression that they are going to a different place. Moments later, she starts to realize that his father and brother are taking her to a mental asylum for women. Eugene can't believe that this is happening to her. She pleads to his brother and father that she is not insane, but they refuse to listen. Eugene is then forcibly removed from the coach by the hospital security. His brother vomits in disgust as he is also blamed for why his sister is now admitted to this mental hospital. First of the many days in the mental asylum, she is physically checked by the head nurse, Genevieve. Genevieve explains that the head doctor will decide her fate if she's mentally fit for society or not. In the meantime, the mental asylum is her new home. Eugene is then taken inside, where several women with mental disorders are undergoing treatment. Another mental patient, nicknamed Eyebrows, befriends her. She reveals that she's been sent there after being sexually abused by her aunt's husband. However, Eyebrows' aunt chose to side with her abusive uncle. Eyebrows also reveal that she is engaged to the assistant doctor of the mental facility. The next scene reveals how the abusive doctors at the mental asylum treat their mental patients. In front of several aristocratic men, the head doctor introduces Eyebrows as a patient suffering from acute symptomatic hysteria. The head doctor then proceeds and performs hypnotism on her. When Eyebrows suffers a seizure, the head doctor casually leaves Eyebrows and walks away like nothing happened. Meanwhile, Eyebrows remains helpless on the floor. When Eyebrows recovers, the assistant doctor visits and pretends that he will marry Eyebrows just to get his hot dog into her pants. He's been taking advantage of Eyebrows without her knowing. Later, Genevieve assures Eugene that they will see the doctor tomorrow. If she's found to be fit to be integrated into society, she will be set free. Eugene tells the head nurse that she knows about her dead sister. She knows her name and that Genevieve writes thousands of letters for her. Eugene tells her that her sister is with them in the same room. In shock and uncertain how to react, Genevieve walks away. It's then revealed that Genevieve indeed wrote many letters for her dead sister. The next day, Eugene gets to talk to the head doctor. She explains that the spirits reveal themselves to her, and that she does not necessarily speak to them. Genevieve is starting to believe her, as evidenced by the information that Eugene got from her dead sister. But the head doctor argues that seeing spirits is not normal. When the argument becomes intense, Eugene is restricted and placed in a makeshift chamber filled with ice to calm down. One night, Genevieve is secretly followed by Theophile. Genevieve is terrified, as she thinks she's about to be mugged. But Theophile introduces himself and explains that he only wants to know the status of his sister. Theophile then hands over the Book of Spirits to Genevieve and asks her to hand the book to Eugene. Theophile then shares with her that he feels bad for being one of the reasons that his sister has been admitted. He thought that sending her there was a good idea. That night, Genevieve reads the book and contemplates her next move. The following day, Genevieve approaches Eugene in private. She asks that she speak with her sister, and in return, she will give the book to her. Eugene refuses, as doing so might prevent her from leaving the asylum. They then agree that Genevieve will help her convince the doctor that she is sane. In return, Eugene will let her speak with her sister. Early the next day, Genevieve meets with Eugene to speak with her dead sister. Eugene tells Genevieve that her dead sister wants them to speak some other time. The spirit of Genevieve's sister urges her to go home immediately, as their father just had an accident. Genevieve then rushes home. At first, Genevieve thinks she's being tricked, as she does not see any signs at home that her father is hurt. However, she notices blood on a cloth on top of the table. She then rushes upstairs and sees her father bleeding. She attends to her father, who is just mildly hurt. He is pleased that Genevieve is home to care for him, but is curious how she found out. She initially tells her that her gut feeling takes her there, but her father is not convinced. And so, Genevieve reveals that it was the spirit of her dead sister who warned her to go home. She further explains that the spirit channeled the message through Eugene. Apparently, her father is not pleased with the explanation. Soon after, Genevieve asks the head doctor about Eugene. She is told that Eugene is a dangerous patient and that she will be put in isolation. The task to do that is also being delegated to another nurse named Jean. Genevieve knows that she has to do something before Eugene suffers the same fate as the others. Later, Jean takes Eugene to the isolation room. Being not allowed to go out and interact with anybody, Eugene starts to exhibit abnormal behavior. One day, Genevieve pays her a visit and assures Eugene that she helped her to get out of the asylum. Genevieve also confirms to Eugene that she was right about her father's kitchen accident. This seals their friendship. On a different occasion, Jean brings Eugene some food and convinces her to eat to get well. Eugene then reveals that Jean's mother forgives her for what Jean did in the past. It turns out Jean's mother was admitted to the same insulation room, but died. Eugene then tells Jean that her mother wants forgiveness for what she did to Jean's son. This breaks Jean down and brings her to tears. Immediately, her mood swings and she grabs Eugene before leaving the room. Later, Genevieve pays her a visit. Eugene then tells her that her sister wants her to stop writing letters, which makes her sad. Her sister's spirit also adds that she does not need the letters to feel loved. Genevieve cries, stating that she misses her dead sister. After the wholesome incident, Genevieve then approaches the head doctor and convinces him that after a month in the isolation room, Eugene is making real progress, and that she's now calm and collected. Genevieve also adds that Eugene deserves to be out and back to the ward. The head doctor hesitated, but after Genevieve promised she'd take full responsibility, the head doctor then agreed to remove Eugene from the isolation room. For the first time in a long time, Eugene is out. She then pays Eyebrows a visit. At this point, Eyebrows is paralyzed from all the hypnotism experiments. Meanwhile, all the ladies are preparing for the hospital's annual ball back in the ward. Everyone is busy and excited to dress up and participate in the ball. Visitors from all over the country are expected to arrive any moment now. On the evening of the ball, the assistant doctor welcomes everyone. He then introduces the women patients of the insane asylum and the reasons why they are there. The assistant doctor then gives details about their medical condition in the most degrading manner. He assures the participants that all their patients are properly diagnosed, as they are all patients of the finest head doctor. One of the ball participants is Theophile, who receives an invitation from Genevieve, who also reveals the plan to help Eugene out. Theophile can't believe what he hears and immediately agrees. Moments later, Theophile sees his sister Eugene from a distance and slowly approaches her. The assistant doctor introduces the patients to the crowd and guests. Not too long, everyone then looks for a dance partner, as everyone is encouraged to dance. Eugene finds Theophile, and they also dance along with the crowd. At the same time, Jean keeps an eye on them. When Jean is temporarily distracted, the two start to dance their way out of the crowd. They manage to hide in a room where Genevieve meets them. Some of the patients are beginning to get abused by their partners, including Eyebrows, who is currently being taken advantage of by the assistant doctor and his hot dog. As Jean is closing in, an unknown asylum patient grabs and hugs her, giving Eugene and Theophile some time to escape the hospital. Meanwhile, the assistant doctor is attacked by another patient after being discovered taking advantage of Eyebrows. At the same time, Genevieve guides Eugene and Theophile out of the hospital. Genevieve chooses to lock the gate and stay. Eugene begs her to go with them, but Genevieve prefers to stay, revealing that she's now accessible in the sense that she no longer blames herself for the death of her younger sister. She no longer bears the heavy thought and burden of her young sister's death. As the coach leaves, Genevieve is taken into custody by security. The movie ends with Eugene now free and back into society. Genevieve remains in the facility, not as a nurse, but as a mental patient. Despite being locked up, she remains optimistic. Eugene sends her letters assuring her that her sister is always with her, protecting and comforting her. Eugene also adds that she's feeling bittersweet, knowing that the person who helped her out is not free. She adds that to honor what Genevieve did to her when she was locked up, and she does well outside by providing support and comfort to others. Genevieve reminds Eugene that despite being in the asylum, her spirit is free. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.